Everyone wants to become a hero, but they forget how easy it is to become the villain in that pursuit. The path to hell is paved with good intentions, and the line between hero and villain is only one mistake. I made that mistake, not on purpose, of course, which is why it's called a mistake. But the weight of the mistake when trying to be a hero is completely different, like stepping on the scale while wearing a book bag of rocks. The day was gorgeous, perfect for a walk. There's a park near my home with a pond that has geese that attack anything that comes too close. A safe park is what I'm getting at. Sun was peeking through the clouds, so surreal, as if the heavens themselves opened up. The pond was shining brilliantly, and the geese were nowhere to be found. It was a perfectly peaceful day, and everyone was around. I gave wave. They gave a stare. No wave back. A rude bunch. The path is long and there's only one. Once you reach the end, there's no choice but to just walk back. As I finished my walk and was making my way back to the apartment for a shower, I seen a young boy splashing in the lake. At first, I thought it was a bit of fun, but the splashing was violent, and I saw his head go under a few times. This kid clearly needed help. There are people that are patrolling the park, but they were nowhere to be found. It was up to me. I knew I could do it. I can hold my breath underwater for 10 minutes. Olympic trial swimmer, valedictorian of my class, decision-making impeccable. Too bad I don't have a chance to use any of it because the pond is only 4 feet at its deepest, so a quick walk to the boy shouldn't be hard. I made my way through the pond quickly and grabbed his arm. I don't know how long he was in the pond, but by the time I got to him, the boy was weak and couldn't keep himself up any longer. I grabbed his arm and pulled him up, and then started walking towards shore. This is when I started to regret going in. Perhaps waiting for someone to come would have been better. Even better would have been if people weren't around, and the mother didn't show up screaming help. I was walking to shore at a good pace. The boy was unconscious. All I can blame is myself for what happened next. My footing wasn't the best, and I slipped. The boy on my side was pushed underwater when I fell back after slipping on a rock. After that, everything seemed to happen at fast forward, while in slow motion. I made it back to the shore. We tried to resuscitate the boy, but there was no luck. He was gone, and we all looked in shock, but then that shock turned to rage. The woman looked at me and blamed me for killing her son. All of a sudden, the call of help that I answered, the effort I put in was all meaningless. The boy was already weak. By the time the park employees would have came, the boy would have been dead anyway. What I did gave him the best chance to live, though it was my mistake at the end that sealed his fate. But it was my attempt that gave him a chance at a different fate. The age-old quote is true at the end. The attempt doesn't matter, it's all about how you land, and I stumbled. Stumbled hard. I do feel as if his death is my fault. Would it have been better to not help at all, but in that case, and the child still dies at everyone else's hesitation? I would still feel just as bad. If I just continued to walk and try to find someone else to come help, at least then I could feel better at my effort. But if the child died in the end, I would think, why didn't I just jump in? The only difference is that no one would blame me, and I wouldn't have to take the stairs. I would be able to think it's so sad that her son died, instead of I killed her son. I left. I ran away from the scene. I feel like I got back to my apartment in literal seconds, as I sat on my couch and stared at the ceiling in disbelief. Why did I do that? How could I fall? Why didn't I just leave well enough alone? Why did she have to blame me? I was the only one that cared enough to even try and save the little bastard. He wasn't a bastard. The anger is just seeping in. She was a grieving mother that just went through something traumatic. She wasn't thinking straight and just said what came to her mind to deal with the pain. I stared at the ceiling, just thinking through everything until I fell asleep. Woke up and looked at the clock. Then I looked out the window and never regretted the view of my apartment so much. I loved looking out at night and seeing the lake. Now it's 3 a.m. and I can clearly see the taped-off section, treating it as if it was a murder. I crawled into bed and slept until noon. Even then, not wanting to get up, I called out of work, for a couple days actually, and just stayed in. That first week was bad. Next couple was worse. I couldn't take a month. I had to leave that apartment. Work seemed to be my only solace. No one knew of the situation, and I didn't explain it either. I didn't want anyone to know. Every time I walked out of my apartment, I saw the stairs and the people murmuring under their breath. Maybe it wasn't about me, maybe I was paranoid, but I couldn't stand it. Also, the thought of passing the mother one day on the trail terrified me to my core. All I could do was run away. I broke my lease early, paying that damn fee, and moved into a different complex. Now I have to drive to a park and walk around. Luckily, it doesn't have a pond, so it puts my mind at ease a little bit. I try not to think about that incident too much. From time that woman does cross my mind, I do wonder how she's doing. I wonder if we ever met again, if she would apologize and thank me for my effort in trying to save her son. But in the end, I just think of that to put myself at ease, to make myself feel better for at least trying. I just have to live with it and hope if it happens again, I do better. As if to torment me, something similar did happen as I'm jogging in the new park. A kid who had a bit too much ambition climb a tree that was too high. As I was going by, the mother asked for my help. If I could just let him jump down to me. I'm a tall man, and honestly probably could have reached the tree branch he was stuck on with a good jump. But when she asked me, I just looked at her like a deer in headlights. I put my head down and just ran harder, pretending as if I didn't hear her. I ran to my car and sat in my seat, breathing heavier than I ever had before. I wasn't out of breath from my run, but I just couldn't calm my breathing. I sat there hitting my head against the steering wheel. I'm sure someone came and helped her. The kid is probably down by now. I went back to the park later to that tree and jumped and grabbed the branch. It was that simple. I could have helped. I should have helped, but I couldn't help. Maybe I'll never be the same. The guy who was always willing to reach his hand out to help another. Now just a ball of anxiety whenever someone needs assistance with the most basic task. Maybe therapy will help. Maybe time will heal it. Or maybe I need someone to reach out and help me the way I tried to help that boy that day.